Hello Pisces, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate. It helps your personal situation, and to leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed, especially if you're a cross watcher. Just know that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading, on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me, or on the next workshop that I am hosting is in the description box below. All right, Pisces, let's jump on in. Let's start with, we're going to start with overall energy through oracle cards, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot, but we're going to start with your side of this connection, Pisces. Let's see what you are feeling, thinking, feeling, what your just overall experience is in this connection at this time. This is Pisces' side of this connection. Okay, connection, deja vu, surrender, and then the underlying is confusion. So I feel like when it comes to this connection, you're having a hard time figuring out what is the right move for you. I feel like you have a very strong connection to this person with this connection card. And I feel like that connection runs really deep. But this deja vu card makes me feel that there's something that keeps happening or replaying in this connection that is keeping this connection from being what it is that you ultimately desire it being. So some sort of cycle is replaying itself in this connection. And then you have this surrender card, which to me, for some reason in this specific like context, or like the energy that I'm getting is kind of like this last straw kind of energy. It kind of feels like you're feeling a little bit at your wit's end with this connection. And I feel like it's because of whatever cycle keeps replaying. But obviously there is still a deep connection, so you're still very drawn to it. Like you don't want things to end, you don't want things to not work out, but I feel at the same time you're like, well, I don't know what else to do on my end. So let's see what this person's got going on. This person's energy toward you, Pisces. Growth, synchronicity, codependency, and unfinished business. So here's what I'm kind of gathering from this person, is it does feel like they know that they've messed up. And I don't know if they've messed up. It feels like it's been more than just one time. Because again, you're like at your wit's end. So it kind of feels like they crossed a line or they did something just like one too many times. Like they pushed your buttons or whatever one too many times. But I feel like this person, it's like they want to do better. They want to be better. They want to essentially make this work. But yet this codependency card makes me feel like they have some unhealthy patterns or behaviors in relationships that keeps them from that growth. So there's some sort of personal cycle that they're experiencing in this connection, whether that is self-sabotage or emotional unavailability. Like there could be so many different things that appear. It feels like this person struggles with being able to be what it is that both you want them to be and you need them to be, and also like they know. It feels like they're very aware. Like they're not, I feel like they're aware that they've messed up. They're aware that they've done things to mess with this connection. And I feel like because they have unfinished business here, so they do see this potential as something that hasn't yet been realized. Like they look at this connection, they see this connection, and they're like, well, but then at the same time, it feels like they doubt whether or not they're capable of it. It's like they know they need to do better, but I feel like they doubt that they're capable of being better. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack with this connection and this person here for sure. Truth of the connection between Pisces and this person. Fate. Know your worth. Is there anything else about the truth of this? With this Fate card, it definitely feels, and then healing. Like you and this person were fated to meet, if you will. And it feels like there is a deeper purpose for this connection and why things have played out the way that they have. This Know Your Worth card, I feel like is something that, to be honest with you, Pisces, I feel like it's something you're struggling with. And not in the sense that you don't know your worth. Because here's what I'm kind of gathering. It's like you know you're deserving of more. Whatever this person is doing or not doing or whatever the case is, like you know that you're deserving of more. But yet, you're at war with the part of yourself that feels so drawn to them and to the potential that this connection holds. So when I say that you're struggling knowing your worth, it's not that you don't know your worth. It's that you don't know what to do at the end of the day, because I feel like you see the potential in this connection as something that could very much align with what it is that you deserve. But where things are at is making it difficult for you because how this person continues to act or whatever they continue to do, I don't know. That doesn't align with your worth, but the potential might. And I think that that's where you're feeling a little bit torn. And I feel like, to be honest with you, Pisces, I feel like you've been torn for a while. This feels like something that, this doesn't feel like a new, like this isn't, I don't feel like I've told you anything you don't already know. Like you're like, yeah, this is how it's been. This is the story of my life kind of thing. Let's keep going. Overall theme of this reading for Pisces. I didn't feel like that was supposed to come out. Okay. You love me, overstepped boundaries. You didn't mean it, inconsistencies. So these cards are definitely telling a story here, right? It feels like this person keeps overstepping your boundaries in some way, not respecting your boundaries, not respecting your needs, not respecting your worth. But I feel like you know that they love you. You know that they care about you. And I feel like because of that, throughout this connection and in a lot of different periods of the connection, I feel like there has been almost this kind of justifying their behavior a little bit, which we've all done. We've all been there. But it feels like that's why you're at this like wit's end. Like that's the best word that I can describe. Like you're just like so over it. But you're not over it, but you're over it. You're like, I'm over how things have been. I need more from this. But like yeah, like at your wit's end, not knowing what to do. But it's hard because since you feel that connection, I do feel like this person doesn't necessarily mean to hurt you. That doesn't make it okay, but it doesn't feel like it's intentional. It feels like it's something that is coming from a place of, hurt people. And I feel like you almost see that and you empathize with that. And that almost is like what keeps drawing you back in to the potential in some way. But then you continue to get your boundaries your boundaries stepped on. Because when it comes down to it, especially with this inconsistencies card, I feel like this person, they tell you, oh, things are going to change. I'll be better. I won't do that again. But then they do, or they do something different, but in like the same way almost. Like it's like they say they're going to change. They say they're going to do better. They say that they're going to be there for you or whatever. But then when it comes down to it, the behavior isn't there. It's like they have the words, but they don't have the actions to back it up. And you're just kind of keep finding yourself like back in the same place over and over and over with the connection. Which, I mean, of course you're frustrated. Of course you're like at your wit's end. I don't know why I keep saying that. I never really say that saying. But for some reason, it's what keeps coming through. So maybe that's something you've been like, maybe you're telling a friend, you're like, I'm at my wit's end with this connection. And that's just something that, like, that's a verbiage that, like, you would use. Or maybe that's just the best way to describe it. I don't know. But let's dive into this further. Let's look, Pisces, at your side of this deja vu with surrender. Pisces side of this connection. To the person that you're dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. The Seven of Cups. I mean, literally. I feel like this just like explains your energy. Overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go from here. I know what I want, but what I want doesn't seem possible. So what the heck do I do now? Like that's very much where I feel like you stand. The Nine of Wands in reverse. There you are. Queen of Cups. The Five of Cups. There's a lot of disappointment here. And I feel like it feels like this person has consistently disappointed you too. Like this isn't just like one big thing. Maybe there is one big thing, but it feels like it's been a pattern. It's been a pattern here for a while. What else? The Judgment in reverse, okay. Okay, I see where this is going. Page of Pentacles in reverse. And there's the Ace of Swords. Okay. So when it comes to this person, it's very obvious that you see them through a really loving light. But I feel like that loving and empathetic light can sometimes go a little too far into the realm of like rose-colored glasses. And again, we've all been there, okay? When we really love and care about someone, of course we see the good in them. You know, we see all that they are, the good and the bad, and we choose to love them for the good. So we see that good, and that's important. That's important when it comes to, I think this world would be a better place if more people looked for the good in others. But it feels like that's pushed you, or put you, I guess, more so in this position of holding on for the good, but having to tolerate a lot of not so good, a lot of that disappointment, and because that's what it feels like. It feels like you just are constantly being let down by this person. It's like you give them an opportunity, you give them a chance to do better, to treat you better, and then you're finding yourself feeling let down again. And I feel like you can recognize that this person is needing to grow, to heal, to do a little bit of work on themselves. And I feel like you keep hoping that they will. But yet at the same time, you're staying stuck in the cycle that keeps appearing. Because with the Nine of Wands in reverse, that does, it to me represents repetition. It's like Same thing over and over again, wanting a different result, not experiencing a different result. And you're sitting here as the Queen of Cups. I feel like you're very, like, even, yes, you're a water sign. Yes, you know, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. But I feel like you're sitting here as this Queen of Cups, not just in the sense that, you know, this card can represent you, but also just very caring and compassionate and understanding. But it almost feels like you've been so caring and compassionate and understanding for this person and everything that, you know, they're going through in their experience, that it's kind of put you in this position of not honoring your experience as much. And what I mean by that is you do deserve more. Now, a lot of times I think that we might have a tendency to start second guessing, like, well, maybe I don't deserve more, or maybe I'm asking for too much, or maybe, you know, maybe I'm, you know, being selfish, or whatever the case is. And there's a difference between being selfish and honoring your needs, right? Because being selfish doesn't mean screw your needs, screw your value. It's only about other people. Or excuse me, being selfish means screw other people. Not being selfish doesn't mean that. Because you honoring your needs is something that is important. Your needs and your boundaries matter. And I feel like in this connection, they're constantly getting crossed and you're getting frustrated because of that. But yet at the same time, there's such a strong pull and you see the good in the person, the potential in them, that you're like, well, if they would just this, if they would just change this pattern of behavior or do this, then like it could be so good. I can't blame you for that. I think that, see, again, of course we see the good in the people that we love. But it does put you in a hard position because, again, like, you know you deserve more, right? But yet at the same time, I feel like you're wondering, like, if that's ever going to happen, or you're seeing the potential of it being possible in this connection if this person were to change, which is making it hard for you to let go, which makes a lot of sense. So let's see where this person is at. Unfinished business with growth. This person's energy toward you. See, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of times in these readings, I do tend to get energies of people who are avoiding accountability and are, you know, kind of running from the truth that that their behavior is hurting others. That's not what I'm getting in this connection, to be completely honest with you. I feel like in this connection with this person, they are actually very aware that they've messed up. It does feel like they have that awareness. This person's energy toward you, Pisces. Okay. Page of Wands, Eight of Swords, Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Something that I feel like I need to say is understanding that the only real apology is changed behavior. I feel like that's so important for you to know. Okay, hang on. See, that's what concerns me, though. Okay, you have the Page of Wands, the Eight of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the Ace of Pentacles, the Justice, the High Priestess in reverse. So I'm just going to get right to the point. I feel like this person knows that they messed up and they want another chance. The thing that concerns me, though, is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, because that's a lack of commitment. Okay. I'm gonna try to put this in this energy in the form of like a story. I before I did any healing in my life, I was someone who was actually very unhealthy and very toxic in relationships, and I didn't mean to be. I certainly never meant to hurt anybody. That's not necessarily an excuse. I did have to heal. I spent a lot of time healing a lot of shame around relationships and the ways that I had hurt others in the past, so on and so forth. But one of the patterns that I recommended, or not recommended, that I recognized in myself that I don't recommend, was that I had a tendency to ruin relationships with people who treated me well. And it wasn't because I wanted the relationship to end. It wasn't because I was trying to hurt other people. I didn't personally know how to experience love in a healthy way. I didn't know how to receive love. And when I did receive love, I pushed it away or I would sabotage it in some way. And until I eventually pushed the other person so far because they were done dealing with my unhealthy patterns of behavior. You know, whether it was like just starting fights out of nowhere or nitpicking at the other person. Like there were just things that I did that were just, I mean, ultimately pretty immature. But then the other person would, you know, would be like, I can't do this anymore. They'd walk away and I'd feel broken. I'd feel like desperate and I'd do whatever I could to try to get them back. And sometimes it would work. And then I would do the same thing again. And I'd push them away until eventually they left. And to me, something that took me, once I kind of started therapy and my healing journey and all of this, my therapist very strongly drew me to this pattern and had me recognize that I had deep-seated fears of abandonment and of essentially getting my heart broken, that I almost acted from this place of, and I'm talking about myself for a reason, okay, so bear with me. I was acted from this place of self-sabotage as like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was like I expected people to leave me, so I would do things that pushed them to leaving me. And to be honest with you, the people that I were dealing with, probably best for them to leave me because I wasn't in a healthy enough place to love myself enough to allow myself to be loved and therefore love other people well. It took a lot of healing and growth and self-work to be able to do that. Now, I talk about that because I said from the very beginning that I don't feel like this person means to hurt you. I feel like they recognize that they messed up. And that was one thing that was very interesting in my pattern was when I would push someone away till eventually they left me, it was like I understood. I'd be like, well, of course you left me. I did all these horrible things. Or I wasn't very nice to you or like whatever the case was. And then I, would do what I could to try to draw them back in. And then I'd have every intention in the world of doing better. But because I hadn't actually healed or addressed like the root issue, which is I felt unlovable and I had unhealed abandonment wounds, I kept repeating those patterns. And I don't say that from a place of, oh my gosh, feel sorry for me. That's where understanding the difference between empathy and tolerance is really important. Have empathy for other people, understanding that they do things that they do because they are hurting. Hurt people. But that doesn't mean you are in a position to have to tolerate their behavior. And when it comes to this person, it feels like they take accountability, or at the very least, like they know, they might not out loud take accountability, but it feels like they know that they messed up. Yet at the same time, with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, they're stuck in this karmic cycle of allowing these patterns of behavior to repeat. High Priestess in reverse, they're not listening to their higher self. They're not following the path of their higher self. They're following the path of their wounding. And that's very obvious with the Page of Wands. It feels like they carry these inner child woundings that cause them to act in unhealthy patterns. Remember, we saw that codependency card. And maybe codependency itself is something that they struggle with, but it could also go a lot deeper than that, right? Just unhealthy patterns in love. Because when it comes to oracle cards, I try not to take it too strongly to the definition because they are overall energies. But it feels like they have unhealthy patterns and behaviors that they keep repeating, that they're needing to do some serious work on themselves to heal these deeper woundings so that they stop these patterns of behavior. And the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, the reason that scares me is there's a lack of commitment to changed behavior. And the only real apology is changed behavior. So I do feel like Spirit is asking you or telling you to proceed with caution when it comes to this connection. Because what I have really learned is that we teach people to treat us by what we continue to accept. And the only reason that I actually started working on myself was because I got tired of people leaving me because I was unhealthy in relationships. And that was on me, right? But I had to learn that I didn't want this experience anymore, so I went and got help. If people continued to allow me to act a certain way, I never would have actually decided to get help or to actually work on myself. And it wasn't because, I think that it's interesting. Awareness is interesting because sometimes you don't even realize that you're stuck in patterns until after the fact, and then you look back and you're like, wow, that was clear as day. That's what happened with me. And after some healing and after some growing and after some accountability and reflecting and change behavior, I actually ended up on the other side of connections where I had so much empathy for people who were hurting and acted unhealthy in relationships because I had been there. I got it. And so I wanted to help people heal because I was like, no, look, if you could just, address these things and heal these wounds, then you can experience love too. But that kind of was just essentially the same dynamic, just in a different way, because then I was chasing love in people who couldn't provide it for me instead of pushing away in people who could. And I think that that's where we have to learn that some people aren't going to change until they're given a reason to change. And a lot of times we have to ask ourselves, how many times am I going to allow this person to let me down? How many times am I going to open this door expecting this person to change and then watch them treat me, poorly again or do the same thing again? I think that it's hard when you love somebody because you want, obviously, not just to be in their life because you love them, but also because you probably know that the connection can make them happy as well. You want everyone to be happy. It's a win-win. If you could just heal, then we could all be happy, right? And I think that there is a cycle here that is needing to be put to a stop because this person isn't going to change unless they are given a reason to change. It doesn't guarantee they will change, okay? I had to go through a lot of failed relationships before I recognized my pattern, but people don't change until they recognize that they need to. And that's where we have to separate the way that people treat us from the way, from our own worth, because most of the time when people are treating us poorly or doing things to sabotage a connection or whatever, I think we tend to jump to, oh my gosh, they just don't care about me. They don't care about me enough to, to do these things or not do these things. I think that if they wanted to, they would, is something that I don't particularly agree with, because I do think that a lot of people have good intentions but don't have the tools or the healing to be able to act in a certain way. But that doesn't mean, just because somebody wants to love you doesn't mean that they have the capacity to or the capability to. And that's where you have to recognize that you are deserving of the love that you desire. And it will come. You don't just deserve someone loving you. You deserve someone acting as if they love you, showing up in that way, doing the work on themselves to treat you better, to love you well. And I think that those things can really help you break the cycle here. In between this connection, you have Know Your Worth with Fate. I'm going to hop on over to the extended to look at the deeper purpose and the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self. But first, I mentioned this very, very briefly at the beginning of this video. I am hosting another workshop on April 25th. It's a Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's a live workshop over Zoom, all about the secret to manifesting, learning how to actually take a lot of these concepts of manifesting and actually live them out in a tangible way. I'm very, very excited about this one. I've hosted a couple of workshops before this, and this one, for some reason, I just feel like my heart is on fire about this this workshop. So any information for that is going to be at the very top of the description box below. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or drop a comment about it. But it's going to be, like I said, a live workshop, but if you can attend the workshop live, there will be a recording of that workshop sent out the next day to everyone who purchased a ticket, whether you are at the workshop or not. So you both receive access to the live workshop, which will include, we'll go through a lot of group activities and just things of that nature, and then a Q&A session at the very end. If you are not able to attend live, the only thing you'll miss out on is you obviously won't be able to participate in terms of like talking, because you won't be there. And then obviously you won't be able to ask any questions in the Q&A, but you'll still get access to everything else. Like I said, any information for that is in the description box below. Thank you guys so much, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope, Pisces, that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Pisces.